All right, slide 11. This slide is going to be really important for you as you work on your Middle Ages assignment. So pay close attention, come back to this slide more than once if you need to, because here we're going to talk about the morality play. And you're actually going to be playing around with writing your own very short morality play for your Middle Ages assignment. So it'll be good to have a good understanding of this. Okay, morality plays first began as religious plays, but they became secularized or non-religious as time went on. So they eventually were like this huge link between the religious stage that we've been in for a long time throughout the entire Middle Ages and the professional stages of theater that we're about to see in the next time period of the Renaissance. And they were very much focused, morality plays were very much focused on allegories. Allegories are things that have like a hidden meaning. Although with morality plays, the allegories are not, their meaning is not that hidden. It's basically where a character represents an idea. And it's pretty obvious in morality plays because there'll be a character named Death, and they're meant to allegorically represent death. Or there'll be a character named Envy, and they're meant to allegorically represent envy. So it's pretty obvious. It's not really all that hidden. But these morality plays use that type of allegory to tell their stories. Okay, how did morality plays come about? So, number one, there was this religious framework of a continual struggle between good and evil to possess man's soul, right? The little angel and the little, oh, I just tapped the same shoulder, and the little devil, right? Good and evil, always trying to possess man's soul. And this was this big religious idea that humans were struggling with. I mean, probably still today, but definitely in the late Middle Ages. And this framework consisted of the 7 cardinal virtues, all the good things you can do, right? Prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude, faith, hope, and charity. Those are the 7 cardinal virtues. You can Google them, that's what they are. And the 7 deadly sins: pride, covetousness, lust, anger, gluttony, envy, and sloth. Again, you can definitely Google those, the 7 deadly sins. 2, they were popular outdoor preachers at the time who loved delving into this concept of the virtues versus the sins. You should be virtuous. You shouldn't commit these 7 deadly vices or the 7 deadly sins. Number 3, literature at the time. Both religious literature and secular or non-religious literature had really popularized allegory and used allegorical characters, such as characters named Slander, Danger, and Fair. So this was like becoming this popular thing, this idea of an allegorical character. And number 4, Christianity had become increasingly concerned with the idea of death and an afterlife. And the religion was constantly admonishing people that they needed to think about their reckoning at death. What's going to happen to you when you die? How are you going to reckon with your sins? Are you going to be let in to heaven, or are you going to have to go to hell? This was really becoming the focus of Christianity in the late Middle Ages. So all of this was a good breeding ground for these morality plays to be written, where there was usually a main character struggling between the forces of good and evil, having some kind of reckoning, usually a deathbed reckoning, for his soul. And there were characters in the play to help him along his way, and they were allegorical characters like justice and sloth and envy and charity and things like that. So we're delving into reading a morality play, probably one of the best known ones, if not the best known one, and it's called Everyman. And Everyman is the main character of the play. He's meant to represent every man. Get it? So we're going to be delving into that. It's not a super long play, and it'll give you a really good sense of how these morality plays worked. Um, so a little bit more on this idea of a morality play. In the 16th century, the morality play underwent some changes. Sometimes it was used to treat completely non-religious subjects. So people start writing morality plays, but they're not dealing with religious subjects at all. They're just dealing with other issues of morality that are more philosophical, more informative, more educational in nature. And this is because the introduction of classical subjects are occurring, interest in ancient Greece, interest in ancient Rome, interest in learning for its own sake is being revived in the late Middle Ages. So morality plays that are just philosophical in nature, that want to deal with moral questions, start to be written. And these types of morality plays actually last all the way into Shakespeare's time. And they mark a movement away from biblical characters and biblical events to plays that are dealing with ordinary humans and their everyday surroundings. So they really did pave the way for the great non-religious plays that are coming up in the Renaissance, which is our next era. One last thing on this slide. Closely related to the morality plays were the plays that were performed by this group, the Chambers of Rhetoric. How their plays worked was a question would be posed to the group, such as, what is the greatest consolation to a person who is dying? And then the various chambers would go off in their own groups, and they would write plays to answer that question. And then they would all perform their plays and their plays would all be allegories. They would be like morality plays. And prizes would be given out for whoever's play kind of like answered that particular question. What is the greatest consolation to a person who is dying? Whatever group's play answered that question the best with their morality play would win. So when we're going to, as a class, use a Google Doc to brainstorm some Chambers of Rhetoric type questions that you're then going to be choosing from when you explore the idea of writing your own short morality play for this class. So much fun. Okay. All right. I know this has been a long lecture. Are you still with me? We're going to go on to the next slide. It's the last one. We're going to wrap this all up. I'll see you there.